that was a long weekend in the U.S. and a long normal weekend in Canada. It was only compounded. I'll talk about the horse in a minute. So my plan was, it's 6 hours and 20 minutes minimum from Scioto to Guelph. The race last night went off, and in fairness to Scioto, they had it pretty close to post time that was scheduled. It was about 10 after 9, maybe. It wasn't half past because we were pulling out of the gas station across the street at 25 after 9. Now do the math. That's 3:45 in the morning. So the plan was always to drive halfway. Drive to Windsor, get a hotel, get up early in the morning, 5, 6 o'clock, and drive the remainder of the way so that Ollie can get to school. It was tough, but that was the deal. And that was the plan. So we make really good time. Actually, we get into Windsor around midnight, maybe a little bit after. And maybe a little bit after. I go to the Hampton Inn, the first hotel that was there. Go in. It's Monday night. Remember, this isn't a long weekend in Canada. Now, we are on the border, but it is what it is. Pull in. Yeah, get a room. Oh, sir, we're full. What? How can you be full? He said, well, all the hotels on the Strip, the smaller ones, are all closed. What? What are you talking about? How can they be closed? He goes, well, they're not closed. That's where the Canadian government has put up all the refugees. Now, I don't have a problem with that at all. I have a problem that I didn't know that. So now I'm thinking, do I go back to Michigan? Do I go back to the States, pull up to the border? Where are you going? Hotel? Nope. Pull into the gas station, I get a big Red Bull, and off to Guelph we go. Now, I said inside, Red Bull isn't the be-all. I've been tired and drank Red Bull before. It's not magic. When you're tired, you're tired. So I said to myself, we'll head that way. London is halfway. If you're tired in London, we'll get a hotel in London. If anything, you're 2 hours closer to home. Blowing through London, I'm okay. I'm telling you what, the last 15 miles, they were tough. I had the music on, wish I had another Red Bull. I kept thinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Need a Wakefish Bay if they just put 10 more miles behind them. I was tired. But national treasure, by the way, Gordon Lightfoot. I was exhausted when we get home. 26 minutes after 3 in the morning, Ollie and I get back to Guelph. True story. I climb into bed, I go to bed. Ollie and I were dragging our asses this morning. He was good though. He get up. Bus comes at 8:15. He was at the door at 8 o'clock. He was tired. I was tired. I'm off to I get Starbucks. He didn't. I'm off to the barn right now to go with some horses. But that felt like a month of travel. It was, you know what though? And I'll be completely honest with every one of you. It was absolutely worth it, 100%. Watch him play ball and hang out with him all weekend. Went to the movies yesterday before Scioto. Saw Kandahar. Not bad, typical war-type movie, but it was good. It was good. You might say, is that a movie for a 9-year-old? Maybe not. Maybe not, but I let him pick, and that's what he came up with. It really wasn't that bad. Wasn't that bad. So I want to talk about what went on yesterday. The horses had one horse to the vet, had absolute euphoria to the vet. Pretty much what we thought. I believe Dr. McKee did the left hind ankle, left front ankle. That makes sense from what I saw on the track the other night. And then, of course, she had that old line in her knee. Now it's healed, but there could be some residual soreness in there. So a little shockwave therapy in there. For those of you, it sounds a little Frankensteinish when you say shockwave therapy. But it's just Google it. It's very therapeutic and very, very helpful. But in Ontario, you're not allowed to do that inside of 96 hours. In Kentucky, it's 2 weeks, just so you know. I think a lot of the Kentucky stuff is that the thoroughbred world spills over into the standardbred world in Kentucky. Thoroughbreds are pretty frail compared to standardbreds. Why did I come this way when it's just all construction? And where did this construction come from? Well, they start yesterday? That's ridiculous. Anyway, so Absolute Euphoria should be good now. I know I got to send a video to the Absolute Euphoria group. I don't always, and it does get me sometimes that I don't always inform the exact groups. Like I'll do a video like this and just assume that everybody watches it, knowing everybody can't watch every video I do. Although for those of you who do, I appreciate it. Last week I had done a couple of videos about putting landing strip in the sale, and then one of our clients, Chip, had messaged me and said, Anthony, did I miss an email? Why is the horse in the sale? And I felt terrible. Terrible. He was fine once I explained it, but the fact that he didn't know was upsetting to me. Anyway, moral of the story, watch all the videos. So Absolute Euphoria will be fine, as I suspected. Just minor maintenance stuff. She'll be fine. Now, I wanted a full report on every horse that jogged after the open house. Seasons of Love, they said, was lame right front, off right front. She's done this before, and it's weird. It's not her knee. You'd think this time of year it's her knee, and I'm glad it's not her knee. Her foot bothers her. It was weird. Like, she's got very shallow bloodlines, I think, in her feet, because we put toe weights on her earlier in the winter, and she got sore from them. I've never seen that in my life, ever. So, we know where it is. It's the right front portion of the right front foot. Now, the issue with Seasons of Love is we've x-rayed her, we've had her looked at. There isn't anything found, and she's not lame enough for there to be a line. That's what the vet believes. So what is it? Just a nagging kind of bruise in her foot? Is it a corn or something? We've checked, but I will have the blacksmith take a much closer look at this week. First thing we're going to do, he's going to look at her today. First thing we're going to do, we're going to take the mushroom bar that we have, take that off. We're going to replace it with a window bar. Now, we know the right front portion of the right front foot up here is the issue. So we're going to take that shoe, and we're not going to put this piece on the foot. We're going to pull it down here and over here. A window bar. Now, it's a little difficult because these horses spin off that front part of their shoe. There won't be anything there. So there'll be a bit of a, one, does it help? I suspect it will. Two, will she be able to trot like that? Now, you want to pull that shoe over just almost to the middle or a little bit more. If you can cheat over there a little bit, is you got to put a little grab on there. But will she be able to trot like that? I think she will. She's got a pretty determined gait. What I would like to call a determined gait. She does her work well and works hard at it and got a great work ethic. So yes, it's odd. You don't often see, when you say to yourself, oh, that horse is footsore, it's usually the back. It's usually the bulbs of the feet. That's why we wear those mushroom bars on some of those babies. In this case, it's the front right quarter, which is concerning, but the vet has said, one, I don't think she's sore enough for it to be a line. Right? And two, it's been there off and on 3, 4, 5 times. There's just something there that bothers her. We can work with that. So the shoe is off her right now. The blacksmith is going to build a window bar for her. We're going to see how she is in that, and I suspect she'll be just fine. We'll see how she plays out. Now, the good news is her knees are fine. Left stifle, she thought maybe needs a little work done, but nothing too serious in that regard. So that was Seasons of Love. Nothing surprising found with Seasons of Love. And nothing concerning yet found with Seasons of Love. I know probably Mary and Jerry, I'm sure, were there yesterday, and were probably a little disheartened to see her jog a little sore. This isn't the first time, so they've seen this before also. This isn't the first time. We know where it is. We're not really positive what it is, but we know where it is, and we are going to work at treating it accordingly. George of the Jungle was good. Left hind, Johnny thinks he just dog trots and hits that left hind sometimes jogging, so he looks a little bumpy left hind. His knees bother him. We did change the shoes on him, but when push comes to shove and you get him jogged in, he seems really good. assume this gentleman is going to pull me forward. Thank you. So George of the Jungle, I'm not too concerned about. We put a little blister on him. He's fine. Now, insider trading, obviously, we want to check her after what happened the other day. She was a little off left hind, and what has been for a while, minor stuff. When you first go out in the track, maybe a little off left hind. But that's understandable. I went back in the notes and looked. November 23rd, we had her to the vet. Vet found some lipping in the lower hock joints. That's not very common, but again, as they grow up, it can bother them. But the kicker was small OCD found in a good area that they didn't want to operate on, left hind ankle. That's the one. So we had blistered her a little bit. When that blister comes off in about 3 or 4 days, we'll look to clean those legs up, probably do those lower hocks, and inject that left hind ankle. But when push comes to shove, again, this is all stuff that she'll be fine with. That's all very, very manageable. Those were the only 3 horses, the only 3 babies that anybody found anything wrong with yesterday. Now, I'm coming over to the barn right now to go with the horses to see how they are, but those were the only 3. Now, the races yesterday. Cutie Cumber looked a little outmatched. She's never any good when you get away last, but what are you going to do? She's got the outside post. And as Megan said, she catches a softer bunch. Was she trot 56 there? Yeah, but she's just not quite there yet. I said, Megan, let me make it as easy as I can. And I apologize if I put any undue pressure on you when it comes to Cutie Cumber. Put her in where she can win. That's it. Maiden at Poconos, doesn't matter. We just want to get this filly rolling. She's very well bred. Like, we'll talk about a couple of fillies today. This is the first one. Cutie Cumber is very, very well bred and sought after. Let's get a nice mark on her, build her up, and whatever she becomes in the latter part of the summer, so be it. She doesn't have to be, she's not going to the Hambo Oaks. So let's just win some races with Cutie Cumber. Put her in where she can win. And I feel that maybe I had put some pressure on them. I just thought that the way that she was training in Northfield, the trajectory she was on, she'd be trotting in 55 right now. She just isn't there yet. She's a bigger, stronger, bigger boned filly too, so maybe it'll take some time, or maybe she just won't. I know she'll take a mark at 55, 56. What she does in doing that, I guess, will be up to her, but it's up to us to do the right thing by her. So by all means, just put her in where she can win. Per Lucky, I thought raced good. Chris Lems thought, if anything, maybe just change him to a hood with cups. Aside from that, the horse is just a really nice horse, continues to do his work well. He get picked off by It's a Herbie for second, no slouch. And it's not like I can look at as I call it, the playing field and say, okay, he'd be way better off over here. There's not a lot of overhears. He's a top end trotter. He's a B-track open horse or just below it, trying to do the best he can. And I think he has done a pretty good job. So both Eric and Kathy and Per Lucky have done well in Kentucky. Hopefully he draws well again next week, catches a similar field, and we have a similar or better result. That's all we can hope for in racing, and certainly with this guy, I thought he raced okay. Horn Player wasn't charted with a break, but I believe she made one. And I talked to Eric after, and I was trying to tell Eric, we've tried every kind of shoe on her. I know when you look at her as a horseman and say, oh, why don't you try this? I've already tried it. We already done that. And that's just normal stuff. I'm not saying, hey, don't bother me with your with your thoughts. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying we've already been down that road. So Horn Player, we're going to bring her back up. We had done some work on her and then shipped her down short to Kentucky, and she raced well for Chris Lems at first start. I'm going to bring her back up and have Jason and Dr. Latessa look at her and keep a closer eye on her. Jason's still got a full house in Ohio, so we're doing our best to try and maneuver horses around. We brought the 2 Illinois fillies back to Ontario, but Horn Player is going to have to come back to Northfield Park. I know some people said, wow, are we going to sell her? Absolutely not. You guys have to understand, whether it be Cutie Cumber or Horn Player, these horses have value, and selling them as the breeding season ends would be maybe the worst time on planet Earth to sell these horses. Maybe. So Horn Player is a little different from Cutie Cumber in the sense that she took a mark at 58 at 2, a mark at 57 at 3, so she's already taken lifetime marks. A little different. Both are very well bred. Both will likely be sold in the fall, right? You don't sell them right now, though. Their money is made in the fall. So for those of you who say, oh, Horn Player's not a stake filly and I want no part of breeding, I don't care about selling her in the fall and I just want out, well, then sell your shares, because it's going to be racing through the numbers of 1, 2, and hopefully up into 3 and 4. Definitely for Horn Player throughout the summer. If Cuticumber gets much better, do we grab a couple? Do we go to a couple of the B track races? Possibly, yes. But again, that'll be up to Cuticumber. But those two fillies aren't going anywhere until the fall at the earliest. I just need everybody to understand that was always the plan, and we'll continue down that path with both of those fillies. But after a little bit of a shaky start to the day, I'm like, I'm going to start with Kemp. He hasn't been good, but, we did figure out. Now, you saw how flat Kemp was. His blood was very eerily similar to Stay Close's last 2 weeks ago. Stay Close didn't get an extra week. He came back last night with a flat mile. Looked very similar. In fact, not really. Stay Close still trotted 28 seconds on the end of it, where Kemp threw a little 33 curveball at them 2 weeks ago. But Kemp, we put a little more work into him. Now, we can't train him harder. We didn't actually train him in the 2 weeks he was off, I believe. Just swam him and put him on the walker. Most days, or jogged him in the pool. Just a little more remedial work into him, and he come back to life. Jody drove him great, but that's his trip, right? And for those of you saying, James doesn't get along with him, that's the exact same trip James gave him 2 weeks ago. It just didn't work out because the horse's blood wasn't right. And now you guys get a look at, when we have these horses at their very peak performance, when they slide a bit, it looks terrible. And that's what happened with Kemp last week. That's likely what happened with Stay Close last night. Now, we have to confirm. We'll take his blood again and confirm today. But you can see the results when we change things up and treat them up, and they get back to that 100%. And it's tough for Kemp, right? Because we just kept expecting, and it just didn't happen. It was just a comedy of errors all year with the horse, and not in Dominic's way. I mean, he did the best he could all year. That line, the line that was in his knee, is still bothersome from time to time. We have to manage that. His left hind bothers him a little bit, so he's not without his issues. Just last night, everything worked perfect. Jody drove him good. New driver on him maybe sparked him up a little bit, and Unbeatable Kemp was awesome. That was the Breeders' Crown champion for last year he beat. Now, you might say, it's his first start of the year. You're right, 100%. But he had over a quarter of a mile to run him down and couldn't. So, and even if you say, he's going to, of course, Gaines Hanover is going to get better, and we'll probably never race him nor beat him again, but we beat him last night. How the hell? I told everybody 56. That's what I thought he'd trot. 56-2. I thought he would pick up the pieces on the end of it, but he just looked a little tired down to the wire. And I told you, it's going to take, he's so hard on himself, it's going to take 2 or 3 or 4 starts to really get a sense of what he can do. He looked sound. He looked behaved. Looked like he had no issues with him. Looked like he was going to get a decent chunk in the last turn, and then just kind of didn't. But the line looks good, 56-2, and I'm sure he'll be just fine. We get, as I said, just give us a couple more starts before we start getting down on how the hell. Stay Close, as I said. You're going to see his blood. I'm going to report for sure that his blood work come back. As I said, eerily similar to what Unbeatable Kemp went through 2 weeks ago. It's just something going through the training center. You see it with Harry's horses too, a little bit flat. Locatelli, certainly flat last night. 27 flat in the end of it, a mile and 54. 5 horse fields are not his forte, so to speak. But it is what it is. The horse still picked up money and raced good again. Swinging Senorita. Now here, did anybody let me down yesterday? No. Cuticumber didn't really let me down. I could see what took place. Nobody really let me down yesterday. Swinging Senorita, I went to go out of there the same as I would. I just figured she'd pop over to the front, get a good trip, and whatever happens, happens. It didn't work that way. She got on the right line coming out of the gate. Get over on the left shaft. Get out of gear. Is she in heat? Is something bothering her? Is something up with her? I don't know. Well, yeah, I do know. Something is up with her, but I don't think it's major. And she kind of went through this her first start, only we didn't notice because it was a short field. She got everything her own way. But last night, coming out of the gate, there was enough horses in there. You look at on paper and you're like, she's, the favorite. One of the horses to beat's got the 9 hole. The other one's beside me in the 6 hole. The other one's got the trailing post. Snap out of there, force their hand. They're going to let you go. If you release Brett, great, or Chris Page, great. But you're going to get a 2-hole trip probably, maybe a 3-hole by the 5/8, but a good trip. We come out of the gate. She didn't really trot out of there that hard. She immediately get over on the left shaft a bit, got on the right line, got out of gear a couple of times, which she never does. Now, it's apparent to me I'm either going to get burned into the ground. Nothing good is going to happen from here on out if I continue to push forward. I look, I see that Jeff Neisonger's filly's there. It's either let me in or I'm going to sit outside you till I catch cover and you will never get out. Not in a million years. And he's a smart guy. He knew what was going on. I sat beside him. He let me in the hole, and as soon as Doc Holliday moved, I just followed him out. Now I'm following a long shot, but the front end looks exposed. That good filly looks like she could get beaten. Now, I don't think I'm going to beat her, but I'm going to get a run at her. And in the last turn, to be fair, Jeff Neisonger gave me room to move 3 deep. I just couldn't get her out in the 3-wide path quick enough. I couldn't get her out there, and she got out of gear, and I had to sit there, and she kind of trotted through the lane, but 1.55 and a piece, a good mile for her, pretty out every turn. But it just, 11-horse fields kind of suck. They make it interesting for the bettors, but for me, when we couldn't get to Plan A, Plan B and C were slim pickings. So not a great race from her. The first time in her life she ever missed the board. Not a great race from her. Speed-wise, she did her work, but there's some stuff to work on there. Why was she on that right line? Why was she over on the shaft? It's certainly not Jason's fault. I mean, you can't, to see what I saw, I didn't see it in the warm-up. She warmed up great. It was that top speed. You see it. So that says to me, it's a little bit of pain somewhere. We put those shoes on her because her feet were bothering her. But if it isn't just her feet or her feet right now, where is it? What is it? And how do we address it? And I think that'll be up to Jason and Dr. Latessa, and they'll get to the bottom of that before June the 16th when she races next. So she didn't let me down either. I mean, I wasn't impressed with the way she raced, but that wasn't her fault. There was clearly something bothering her. It didn't seem evident after the race. I went all over her. I know Jason did. I couldn't see anything bothering her. So, and again, draw her blood. That's a long ship in the devil's armpit down to Columbus. It is hot, 29 degrees when I walked out of the movie theater with Ollie yesterday. We were sitting in the car. I said, may as well just stay here for a minute, just rest. 102, it said on the car. It was hot yesterday. So did that play a role? Absolutely, it could have played a role. But we'll find out today we'll find out tomorrow when we get our blood back. And as I said, Locatelli was a little flat, but 5-horse fields, not his forte in any way, shape, or form. So we got Renegade Gypsy. I don't like how he's trotting that last turn. As I said to James last night, he texted me. He said, he's just not trotting the greatest. And I said, yeah, well, we haven't shod and we have everything the same as it was when he was a 3-year-old. He's not the same horse. Right now, I just saw Mario a second ago, and I want to talk to him when we go in. Just say, strip him down. Take the shoes off, take the aluminums and flip-flops off him up front. We know something's bothering him in his right hind. The vet couldn't find it, other than to say his ankle was a little bothersome. But the vet couldn't really find it, so it's not the end of the world. How are we going to address that? He's close, but not great. And, I get a couple of messages today. Are we going to sell Gypsy? You guys are vicious. I love it. But, now you're getting a real taste of what I talk about when I say how tough it is for 4-year-olds coming out of the 3-year-old season. Not only is it tough to find them a class, but sometimes you run into hurdles like this, like with Resolute Bay. And these are both absolutely live and learn situations for you and for me also, just so we know. But I'm not very worried about Renegade Gypsy just yet. There's lots of racing for him throughout 2023, and he'll be fine. It's just going to take a little time to undo whatever little kinks worked their way into him, but we'll get him squared away. Now, when it came to the 3 horses in the sale today, it looks like Landing Strip is well on his way to being sold. I had a number of people ask me about him over the last 2 days. Nice horse, Pinkman's brother, trots 56, gets around any size track. Yes, I suppose he would be an interesting prospect for most stables. Just not going to race in the Hambo, right? Most won't, so not the end of the world. But when it comes to Cunning Connie and World for Two, we're probably going to protect him to 21,000 because I know he can do in that class at the Meadows. And when it comes to cash deals, somebody had said to me today, should be in the grassroots. Absolutely should not be in the grassroots. Should be in the prospect series where she can continue to grow and build on her confidence. She'll get to the grassroots, and if she's good enough, it'll be more than easy enough for her to make it to any sort of grassroots final if she's that good. I have zero interest in just following speed and saying, guess she's just not fast enough, when I know she could race for a little bit less but get all of it in the Prospect Series. She's 7-5 morning line in the Prospect Series, and for those of you who think that she just would have waltzed into Mohawk and been 2-1, think again. There's no gimmies in the grassroots. I think she's in the exact place she needs to be, and I was very, very happy to see where he put her. I never said a word, but I was very happy to see that she was in the Prospect Series and not the grassroots. I mean, realistically, the grassroots are wonderful if you got one of the best ones, right? But if you're just paying to race against non-winners of 2 type, not cool. And I think the Prospect Series is a much better place for her, as I know there's some pretty good horses in that grassroots division. You might look at one division and say, see, she could have done in there. You don't get to pick where you go. It just doesn't work that way. So I was happy enough to see her in the Prospect Series for sure. So today, obviously not a lot of sleep for me. I'm going to try and get a little sleep this afternoon. I'm going to watch Ollie's game today. I'm going to go with some horses first. Absolute Euphoria, Seasons of Love, Georgia the Jungle, Insider Trading. I'm going with, I'm not Absolute Euphoria, I don't need to go with her, but the 3 horses, the 3 babies, I'm definitely going to go with. And watch Ollie's game and then head over to Ohio. Big 3 days coming up in Ohio. We get some babies going behind the gate tomorrow on Wednesday. We have all the other babies training tomorrow also. And then we also have Thursday qualifiers. We're now qualifying 4 2-year-olds. Jason said, you know what, why don't we put the 3 pacers in? And then if Dave's stuck and they only get 4 qualifiers, rather than race aged horses against them, they can just qualify together. Smart move. That's a very, very heads-up move. So that's what we're going to do. You're going to see Born to Dance, I'm Fancy Like, and Arson all qualify Thursday morning. And we're also going to qualify Pickpocket on Thursday also. So that's the plan for right now. We still got racing coming up today, I believe. Haunted House is in today. We get a number of horses in throughout the rest of the week. So not a bad week of racing, not a bad weekend, a great weekend for me. I got to hang out with Ollie all weekend. It was a long drive home, but you know what, as I said in the opening, absolutely worth it. So with that, I will talk to you all very soon. I hope you have a great start to the week. Hopefully we can have a great start to the week and keep it going. Great job with Kemp last night. Nice to see the horses that were struggling a bit bounce back, especially with a big emphatic win like that. So let's build on that and have a great week together. I will talk to you all very soon. Take care.